to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I will do roll call. Trustee Barheit,
Here.
trustee Faber,
Here.
trustee Sweeting is, I don't know what to call. She is, absent, but may be joining us. Trustee Gant,
Here.
trustee Hopkins.
Here.
Trustee Young
Here.
and President Bucher here. Amanda, did we meet open meeting compliance?
We met open meeting compliance. It was posted 4:16 PM on Friday, April 26th.
Perfect. Okay. Trustees, do I have approval of agenda sequence?
Yes. Yes.
Great. All right, we're gonna go into public comments. I am going to ask that everybody be mindful of the 3-minute limit because we could have a long meeting tonight. My first would be Rob Clemens. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Go ahead. Just, can you speak into the microphone? I know it's kind of, yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So I come here tonight asking the board to reconsider where they're putting the stop signs here for 8. I am the director of the Rocky Hills Health Association. I also live over on the corner there. We are asking, I understand that the placement there was in part due to some accidents that had occurred right around that corner there. But we would like to actually request that it be revisited and potentially be put on 122nd Street, so up the road where you're coming south, it's 45 miles per hour. And then it goes to 25. There have been a number of accidents there, some of which knocked out my power for people hitting stuff over there. It wouldn't be backing up the traffic right around the corner. Majority of people are slowing down anyway, or they're slowing down going into Illinois or slowing down the curve. We have individuals who are on those corners who are very exposed. Their side yards, their backyards, their front yards are all there. So when cars stop there, they can easily just see it's bad enough when cars are just going 25 miles per hour. And people are stopping there and then going, then you have full, some of us have very young daughters that are on these corners. And it's just going to be a major inconvenience, right? Going over Illinois just in and out there. We have people in our neighborhood plus the older neighborhood who also use that, having to stop in there. So we're just asking the board to reconsider the placement. I understand the reasoning to slow it down. We feel that we're on 122nd, it will be much more effective because, you know, it's 0.1 mile, it's not less than 0.1 mile going to Illinois from where the stop sign is going to be. And you have a strip of at least 1.1 miles where people can get back up to speed. So if you're on 122nd, at least you're cutting them off about halfway. So people come, they're already going 45, they're coming from Wisconsin. They could bring them down because we know a lot of folks don't slow down at that 45 to where it turns 25. Hopefully that would cause them to at least slow down at that point and then be slow as they move on the rest of it. So that's all I really have. It's a request there. So thank you.
Deanna and Tim Delmet, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, and Tim Delmet, 34231 High Drive, East Wisconsin. Good evening. For those of you who don't know us here, Jim Indiana Delmet, a Blackville fireworks and the first happening to sell fireworks in the village. We successfully sold fireworks without incident in the village for 3 years over at the Smith Family Farm on Highway W and the Triple H property on Highway 83. We also had an offer to purchase in for a store in the village a few years ago. We are here asking that the firework ordinance that was passed recently be revisited. We would like to bring to your attention that the revenue that could be received from the sale of fireworks is being left on the people. Firework ordinances are confusing, especially if you are not familiar with the verbiage loopholes. Although we are not attorneys, we have been working with the Wisconsin Fireworks State Statute 16710 in many different municipality ordinances for over 20 years. We are familiar with the verbiage loopholes and are here to help the village if requested. We do not know if the following ordinance points were intended by the board or the ordinance was misunderstood. We'd like to reiterate a few points we made at the last meeting and summarize the current firework ordinance that was passed in the village. As most of you are aware, there are two types of fireworks, aerial and non-aerial, meaning some go in the air and some stay on the ground. Even though the current ordinance lists only non-aerial fireworks for sale from tents, aerial fireworks, the big ones that go in the air, will still allow to be sold from a tent to all Illinois and out-of-state residents. Roughly 95% of sales will be without permits of these type of fireworks. The village will receive no permit fees from the out-of-state customers for the sale of aerial fireworks. As it's been in the past, we received money for that. Please note, thousands of dollars of revenue the village is missing out on. Because permits are not being sold the way the ordinance is written, Wisconsin residents will not be allowed to purchase aerial items, but can purchase the small round items as it lists in the new ordinance. Please note, we're looking for clarification that this is what was intended by the passing of this ordinance. Since you changed it to allow tents, we have submitted an application to sell in the village and need to order our stock. Will there be further discussion on selling permits and the type of fireworks before the season starts?
Thank you. Peter Polly, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Peter Pauline, 30728 112th Street, Walnut, Wisconsin. So I have three items. I'll do my best to fit in 3 minutes. First one is a challenge the board, challenge the residents of the village of Salem Heights to plant the row for the sharing center. Fresh vegetables are desperately needed. It would not cost the board any money at all to put that on the website and to ask the residents to participate and stop in and donate vegetables they grow in their garden to the sharing center, which are desperately needed. Along the same theme, the next thing is a bit more bristly and might ruffle a few feathers, which is I'd like the board to revisit and take the recommendation of John Carrier to change the chicken keeping ordinance and allow residents to keep 10 chickens per home. And he had done tracking. It kind of fell to the wayside when that came up. And one of the great things about that, I know there's some discussion about who needs that many eggs. People will naturally drop to the number of chickens that the family needs. But the extra eggs are desperately needed by the sharing center. It's one of the most expensive items that have gone up for people with lesser means, along with that and butter. So if you were to just allow the chicken keeping ordinance to be changed, those extra eggs could go to the sharing center if people so chose to do so. And then we could help the sharing center without any actual out-of-pocket money for the village and actually collecting permit fees so that you get some money from allowing people to keep chickens. So I'd like to ask the board to please revisit that in the very near future here and potentially bring that on as support to do that this season. Chicken keeping is cyclical. Springtime is when you get your chicks and then you work your way through to getting into winter. So if we could try and fix this year to be ready for spring next year, it would really be great. Or fix it sooner, it will be set up yet. The last item is a little bit more touchy. Item 8.2 on the agenda has something to do with a couple of animals that were opened by the Matthias Academy in the middle of a swamp and allowed to drain the swamp. And the estimates are between 1 and 2 million gallons of water that have gone into the sewer system. And that's one thing by itself, right? What does that equate to? I think that our per thousand rate is $4, but let's just, if it is or isn't, just using that, $5,000 would be what 1 million gallons would be worth the value of treatment that the citizens would have to pay for it. I'm going to back up and say something. I'm a little concerned that we might want to not take action on this. And in the past, the village has gotten into trouble picking and choosing how they deal with different people. And that's led to a big change in the board here last year. I don't know that that should necessarily start now. I should say resume or come back again. So for people who don't know, I come from the sewer and water industry. I've worked for, Lake County Public Works. And I'm not representing them here tonight when I say that, but just that I have plenty of friends and who are engineers and former management, current management of different villages. And I called and asked a few of them how they would handle this. And they would handle it per manhole, punitive damages, which I think ours is $1,000 apiece. That'd be $2,000. The cost of the water treatment, that's between $5,000 and $10,000. We go between 1 and 2 million gallons, come up with whatever you think the flow was. But the really big one, the really important one, the one that might get overlooked and might not get done, is to not clean and video and charge Mathias Academy for that. Why is it so important to clean and video after opening manholes and swamp? Sticks, branches, debris have gone in the sewer, and we have to see where they've gone, if they're clogging any of the lines. You might say, well, Pete, there's been no problem since this occurrence, so maybe it's not a big deal. Well, what happens with sticks in a sanitary sewer is they act kind of like a strainer, and they keep allowing water to go through, but debris continues to build up on it. And when you have a bunch of head pressure on a clog like that, it's one thing when you have fats and greases, we have the fats and grease ordinance, right? And that restaurants can't allow that stuff to go down the line. You can clean that out with truck mounted equipment. You can't clean out sticks. You have to get real creative to get those out when you have water pushing them down against a bulkhead. And at Lake County, we had a manhole that a cover that was removed by kids in the swamp near Lake County College, and they were throwing sticks in the manhole for fun. Well, what ended up happening was those built up in front of the sluice gate of our lift station on 45, and we actually ended up spending quite a bit of money. We brought in Godwin pumps, and we were doing a pump around, and we had to get real creative to figure out how to remove the sticks from in front of the sluice gate that was holding back almost all the sewage for the village of Grays Lake. And we spent three or 4 weeks before we finally came up with a plan to actually get that handled with people monitoring 24 hours a day on site, monitoring the pumps. So, like that needs to happen. If you don't want to charge them for we need the video and clean that sewer. To not do so, and if it clogs up and then a bunch of people's basements in that flood, and we didn't act on it, what happens then? So that's what I want to share tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to go to number 7, president's comments. First, I just want to recognize that it is Craig's birthday today, so happy birthday, Craig.
Birthday, Craig.
I'll spare you my singing skills. Happy you're spending the night with us. The second item I need to share with you all tonight is a resignation of Trustee Sweeting. And she wanted me to read this letter to you all today. Dear colleagues, over the past year, it has been my honor and privilege to devote my time to serving our community. It has been an absolute pleasure to work alongside the trusted members of our board and staff, whose character and diligence reflects the resolve of the VOSL community to create a better, more transparent government. As some of you may be aware, I have entered into a season of my life where attending to my personal health has become an uphill battle, the cost of which demands time and energy. For the good of the village, I believe it is time that a new member of our community be appointed to carry out the role and responsibility entrusted to me. It is with a heavy heart that I resign my position effective Tuesday, April 3rd at noon. I am confident that the board will continue to fight the good fight, keep the faith, and finish the race that we all began together. Warm regards, Catherine Kelly Sweeting. I hope it's okay, but I kind of want, I don't know if Kelly she was supposed to join us. I don't know if she's watching. I kind of wanted the trustees to have a chance to maybe say something, if that's okay. So whoever wants to start.
I'd like to say I got to know Kelly because we sit next to one another here and I just admire, her experience and her dedication and I wish her the best.
Same here with the knowledge she had as far as management and everything like that. I mean, she put a big, to do with what we have going on here, so.
Kelly and I ran together and she was always there to help me. I've known her husband that's passed. I've known her family, her kids, really true loving person. She was a great person as a trustee. So she's definitely going to be missed here on the village board.
Kelly brought the financial wisdom that a lot of board members looked to when asking questions about our finances. And I think she's going to be sorely missed here on the board.
You guys already said most of everything ever to be said, and got to know Kelly when we were running, and she did a very good job, and she's been doing a good job here. She has a lot of wisdom with the upper echelon, and so I'm gonna miss it.
I also met Kelly last year, had no idea who she was until, we all decided to run and we thought we should all run together as a group. I got to know Kelly as she had a sarcastic sense of humor. She was incredibly witty, very smart, and as the only other female up here, but just as also a colleague, I am going to miss her. I think that she would have really helped out a lot this year with what we need to accomplish, and she will be missed. So I just want to thank her for having the courage to run, and I'll miss her. So Ramsey is going to talk a little bit about the process.
Yeah, the process is actually fairly simple. Most villages will proceed to replace through vote of the majority of the village board. And that position will be filled through the next upcoming election cycle. The other alternative would be to hold a special election. But most villages in this state that I've encountered will typically do the replacement through the vote by the majority of the village board. And so and there's no time limit on this, both under the statute and the village code. They don't see the time limit under which you would do this. You'd want to do it with, sooner rather than later for purposes of operation of the governing body. But sort of uncharted waters in terms of time.
Right. So we are going to put this as a topic for next Monday's agenda and discuss as a board the direction that we want to go and the timeframes. But I will say that with what we have to do this year, it would be in our best interest to do this as quickly as possible. So, all right, with that, I kind of was reconsidering doing this tonight, but Kelly was a big part of what I'm going to talk about. And so I've decided I'm going to do this anyways, because if she was here, I would have done it. So on May 1st last year at my first meeting, I gave a speech on what being elected to this board meant to me and the changes I'd like to see. This year, I'd like to reflect on the past 12 months and give my thoughts on where we are today. I'm going to start by reiterating parts of my speech from last year. If everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself. Don't find fault, find a remedy. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. Those are the words of Henry Ford, the creator of Ford Motor Company. So many people came together and proved that your voice and your vote does count. In small communities, it really is important. You made this happen, and I promise we can and we will do better. All areas of the village, from the village board to the employees to our various boards and commissions, need to be held accountable with checks and balances in place. We need to be more mindful of how we spend taxpayers' money and to always be respectful. There will be a lot of changes and difficult decisions to be made. We would be remiss not to do so. To you, our community, we owe you that. I truly believe with some new energy, ambition, and vision that our village can be repaired, revitalized, and put on a path of prosperity that benefits us all. We must work hard to restore trust in our community with an emphasis on open communication and inclusion, making smart decisions in keeping with our small town priorities. We need to work with our neighboring communities. Our businesses and our residents need our support to be successful. To this board, it is our duty to serve our community without bias, making decisions that are fair and just with no expectation of political or personal gain. We cannot afford to be complacent with our duties, and we must put our personal feelings aside. I chose those words from my speech because we have come so far and overcome some tremendous obstacles and situations that even a very experienced board would have found immensely difficult. We are finding remedies and working together to bring much needed change. I was referred by some on social media as the shit show supervisor. And you know, I guess I was. Because the state of affairs our board was handed, being locked out of village offices, the unwillingness to work with us, the broken and hostile relationship with the business community, the negative reputation and mass turnover in our fire department, and even threatening to come after village board members for asking questions. And these are just a few examples. We went from having one attorney to 5 attorneys. This was necessary due to the issues we faced and the only way to navigate them safely and legally. We did internal investigations, learning what the root causes were, and have made substantial changes. We are restructuring our fire department and adding ranks to ensure public safety is met and our personnel are supported and valued. We are teaching all staff a different way of doing things and helping them better themselves. We are mentoring our fire rescue personnel on how to conduct fire inspections correctly and fairly. We are working with our businesses and the public to find solutions that benefit us all. We are putting policies and procedures in place. We are working on restructuring the budget so it's more transparent. We are planning for the future, budgeting for large expenditures. We have worked to put individuals on our boards and commissions whose backgrounds lend the knowledge to make the decisions presented to them. We have saved measurable dollars by changing insurance companies, renegotiating contracts, charging for use of village buildings. We have listened to concerns from our citizens and made corrections to projects that were incorrect, saving the village millions of dollars. I could go on. These accomplishments are measurable and were made at a pace that is unprecedented. These accomplishments were the culmination of help from many, and they took courage and determination from all involved. Every decision and every dollar we spent was worth it. We could not have done any of this without the help from the following people. I want to thank the person who was the catalyst to helping us enact these changes. Kevin Mathewson gave us the name of a lawyer, Ramsey Bitar, if I said that right. He spoke highly of Ramsey and said he was the best and the only lawyer who could help us. So whatever you think of Kevin and his website, Kenosha County Eye, our village should really be thanking him, because I wholeheartedly believe without Ramsey on our side, we would still be up against a wall, not knowing where to begin. Kevin, I want to thank you, and I'm happy to call you my friend. Ramsey. You proved to be our savior, in my opinion. You guided us through, giving us sound legal advice, keeping our village's best interests in mind, educating us, using your resources and knowledge, your past experiences, and I'd say you even expanded your playbook with the surprises that Salem Lakes threw at you. You helped us to find Jake Curtis, Ryan Hayden, not sure if I said that right, and John Fuchs to navigate through the various investigations and legal issues. Thank you for always being accessible late at night, on weekends, whenever we needed you. I still cannot figure out how, with as busy as you are, that you managed to make us feel like your only client. You, Ramsey, are a legal wizard. And I am happy you accepted the mission as our full-time village attorney.
Thank you, Madam President. You said more.
Ramsey gave us Dave Brettle's name when we needed an interim administrator. Dave was kind, knowledgeable, and worked hard to help us through those tough months. Dave is a respected professional and showed our staff a different way of doing things. He helped with our budget and in our administrator search, which ultimately led to Cassandra. Cassandra, you are smart, a true breath of fresh air, a rule follower, a motivator, a mentor, and an amazing administrator. You have broad knowledge across many subjects. You have vision, direction, integrity, and morals. You welcome transparency and you don't mind being questioned. You will help mold our community to its best potential and have already proven yourself in the short 5 months you've been with us, having found already over $360,000 in year-over-year savings. Think about that for a moment and imagine this time next year, how much money that could be. You are developing policies and procedures, which we didn't have but should have had. You are looking at contracts that haven't been renegotiated, some in over a decade. You are reaching out to entities to help bring tax dollars to our community to support our schools and fire department, and helping our staff to better themselves. Cassandra, thank you for taking a chance on us. And that leaves me to Al Carr, our interim fire chief. This man, he is a healer. He is gentle. He is a teacher. He is fair, considerate, honest, but most of all, he is a leader. Al, thank you for taking my call that day when I was desperate for a miracle. You have healed the relationship with our business community. You are a gentle teacher to our fire rescue staff who bore some really tough times. You are rebuilding our fire department, putting layers in place and mentoring those under you. The reaction to you from anyone who has met you has been nothing but positive. You are the miracle our fire department needed. Thank you for being willing to come out of retirement, step up to a substantial challenge, and help us. God blessed our village with these four, Ramsey, Dave, Cassandra, and Al. I feel incredibly lucky that each was the absolute right person at the right time. The puzzle pieces went together seamlessly. We have now also added Betsy, our new treasurer. I can't wait to see what you will do. Thank you for coming on board. Our village staff has played a huge part in this transformation, and I know it was hard on you. Thank you for being flexible and accepting these changes. They really are for the better of everyone. There is so much to look forward to, and you are a large part of that. I also want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all who supported us throughout this past year. Your unwavering encouragement and dedication have been invaluable. It's because of your support that we've been able to navigate challenges, overcome obstacles, and make meaningful progress. Together, we've demonstrated the strength of community and the power of collaboration. To my board, your respectfulness in meetings, as well as your commitment to making tough decisions, have truly transformed the dynamics from what this village has experienced in the past. I'm immensely proud of the positive shift we've accomplished together. Last year, we dedicated a solid 7 months to the relentless pursuit of fixing our village and setting it on a positive forward trajectory. This year, I'm urging every one of you to elevate your efforts, as we cannot afford to regress after overcoming so much. There's a substantial amount of ground to recover from the time lost in rectifying past issues. We asked voters to place their trust in us. It's crucial that we honor our commitment and diligently work towards the reconstruction and revitalization of our village. It is on this board to ensure we put things in place to not allow the past to happen again. Our staff also relies on our support for this endeavor. As I mentioned last year, I have faith in the talent, intelligence, and thoughtfulness of each of you. Just imagine the remarkable progress we could achieve in the coming year with the new Rockstar team we've assembled. Lastly, for those who delighted in giving me that endearing title and bashing this village board, here's episode 2 for you. I can't wait to hear and see your comments, but you'll need to come up with a new title because we are now known as the architects of progress, the stewards of transformation, and the champions of change. Get ready for a new chapter and a legacy of achievement. It's time to redefine our future. That's all I have for president comments today. All right, sorry it was so long. I tried to cut it down, but I couldn't. Okay, so we will go into Public Works 8.1, discussion and possible action on contracting with Apex Landscaping, Inc. for 2024 grass cutting services in the amount of $124,739.42, estimated for 26 cuttings per site.
As directed by the village board at the last meeting, we are sites, we look at the just and then we went back over RFPs, the two that previously did, when also added a list that is closed, advertised in the daily reporters, and should move to put it on our website. And we actually contacted those contractors on that directly. For them when it was available. The 8 sites removed reduced the 2 previously submitted proposals by $53,612 and $72,670. We received 9 proposals ranging from $124,739.42 up to $269,360 for the remaining 48 sites which one as well. The summary is attached for your review. The Apex Landscaping, of course, submitted the most proposals of all 4 contracts. And the board approves contracting with Apex Landscaping for 2024 long-term services. And just as a side note, with removing the 20, I had Apex and bid on the 8 that we removed also. And figured that in there, and the total savings. Last meeting, we recommended people for box services at $207,361. Adding those 8 additional sites, Apex would be $169,286. Significant.
$100,000.
Yeah.
So, question. Ramsey, we submitted a proposal for the properties -8, and we got those bids in. The original bids from a few weeks ago, we had everything and they came in exceptionally high. So that's why they came to this piece here where they chunked out those 8 and then sent out the bids for the remaining. But now the company that we want to approve for the bid have also submitted a proposal to pick up the additional 8 as well. Can we do that?
Probably because this kind of service is not under the rules governing bidding and the like. And so unless there's something within the way you have requested proposals that would not allow you to do it, I think you could. Now, I haven't seen how they were initially sent out requesting for proposals. But I guess my point is that oftentimes folks will think that the public bidding laws govern this and all those big statutes apply and the notices and so forth and so on. And the answer is no.
Okay.
So it would be whatever process you had originally created, and typically it's much more flexible and allow you to consider that.
So Brad, what was the total cost again for everything by Apex? 169?
169.
169, 286. 26. Is the total, if you include the 8 sites that we had pulled out. We had pulled them out because we were afraid it was gonna come back with these super high numbers again, and we were just trying to be very responsive to budget constraints and trying to reduce. So we picked those 8 sites are the ones that are closest to the Public Works garage. And we wanted to keep those because we wouldn't have to trailer quite as far, it'd be a little easier. But honestly, when we got these prices back, we called the low bid, Apex, and we said, hey, if we wanted you to do these two, what would the cost be? And these were not sealed bids, it was just a proposal.
Okay.
So that was the $44,546 was the additional for them to do those, which brought it to that 169,286. Without that, it was 124, 739.42. So we could either keep those 8 sites, and do them ourselves, or we could, because it's $100,000 less, we could ask them to do all of them and they would be willing.
I would make a motion to approve the 169,286.26.
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Can we have discussion?
The discussion is the reason.
We can have this discussion still, yes?
Yeah.
Got you. I would rather that we continue to keep the 8 sites. Did they give you a price per cutting like the other one?
Yeah.
And I would like to try to do them ourselves. And if it came to where it was not working out, then we could, talk about giving them to the company. I mean,
The only concern I would have is by the village doing their own cutting.
Mhm.
What summer work would we be taking off the table in the meantime that they couldn't do? Because they're cutting grass.
our staffing is much better, yes?
So I can talk to that a little bit.
Yeah.
Brad is your expert and I am just your administrator, but I can talk to that a little bit. So if we keep those 8 sites in-house, that means it's going to take 2 to 3 people a couple of days a week, probably 2 days a week to maintain those 8 sites. If we contract them out, that gives those 2 to 3 people those days to actually be a lot more efficient on projects we can't really contract out. We are really months and months behind right now because we have been so low staffed. We have added since December 3 public works staff. We are still shy 2. So we've been operating at half the normal staff for an extended period of time. There's a lot of catch up. So some of the things that I would have asked our public works staff to work on in 2024 and going into 2025 is I want us to become brilliant on the basics and I want us to get good at things that we haven't been doing. We don't have GPS locations on a whole lot of stuff, GPS, GIS. I'd like them to go out and do more sewer videoing of more lines of mile, more linear feet, sorry, I'm trying to get my words right. More linear feet of our sewer every year than what we've been doing. I'd like them to also start taking a better inventory of all of our culverts. Our ditches, our maintenance, things that more preventative maintenance versus just reactive maintenance. We are often in a reactive state instead of a proactive state. So if we're able to contract all of it out, it would give us more man hours to do the proactive stuff and have to be less reactive going forward. Maybe in 2025, we'll be more caught up, but we are really far behind right now. We're still not at full staff. The goal is to be full staff by the end of May. We have 2 additional individuals we've interviewed that we feel would be good fits. We're working on background checks right now. And hopefully if successful, we'll be on board here by the end of May. So then we'll be full staffed and we have a long road of training to go on those new staff. So that's essentially 5 new staff since December, all of which need to be trained on every aspect of our operations here. And some of them have no experience in sewer, so they need that too. So that's just a big picture.
Yep, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay,
Pretty much, that's the reason that I was so anxious to second it. is-
well, that's fine. I didn't know all that, so that's,
Our staff was kind of excited to do it, but I'm gonna recommend you contract it all out, because even though they were really excited to do it, we really have higher priorities than having them sit on a lawnmower, even though they would do it.
all right, so we have a first and a second. Mr. Barheit,
No.
Mr. Faber,
Yes.
Mr. Gant,
Yes.
Mr. Hawkins,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So 5-1.
5-1.
I am on my.
You're missing somebody.
Okay, 8.2, discussion and possible action regarding the removal of 2 manhole covers at Matthias Academy and issuance of violation letter and penalties. I would like to see the video again, as well as pictures of the actual manhole covers. How deep is that water there? Would you say, do you know?
8 inches. You might want to come to me.
You can see from the picture, not all the way up, but it's up there, that's. Using flows from the station, we estimate 300,000 gallons. of infiltration. We did incur $477 per tank for staff. So there are expenses, you said expenses.
So I have a few notes prepared that I thought I would read, just so that you have the full context. At approximately 3 p.m. on April 5th, it was noticed the lift station was suddenly and unexpectedly not able to keep up. Prior to that event, only 1 pump had been running and was keeping up. Once the 2 manhole covers were removed, all 3 pumps turned on and could not keep up. We determined, as Brad just noted, that approximately 300,000 gallons entered into our system over the course of approximately 4 hours. We incurred costs for extra treatment of the additional infiltration, pumping costs to pump the water to the treatment plant, which would be electricity. 4 hours of staff time to find and stop the infiltration, which included overtime. Use of the utility truck, as Brad mentioned, is we quantified the staff and the utility truck costs at $477.18, which did not include the cost for extra treatment or electricity for pumping. Some of the risks that would be incurred here would be staff and public. You could have been included, as I mentioned at the last meeting, up to death. That manhole, if an adult fell into it with the vortex, the volume of water entering, it would have been impossible or nearly impossible to retrieve even an adult as well as a child or an animal until the water was seated. If the lift station would have failed, it would have resulted in a backup of raw sewage into homes and businesses along the line. It could have damaged the pumps and did in fact put extra wear and tear on the pumps from the increased stress of the water. Our ordinance does allow enforcement under chapter 435-5 C3A. And the fines are also allowed within there. And there were 2 manhole covers removed, so you could look at it as 2 separate costs. That's a great summary.
Do we know who exactly removed those covers?
Yes.
Was he a licensed contractor?
No, it was a staff member of Matthias.
Were they bolted down?
We don't know, they are bolts down tight, but because we weren't there immediately before they were removed, they should have had bolts. I'm not entirely sure if they did. They do now. We made sure of that. So now if they're removed again, people know for the fact that there were bolts in that were.
So I think we need to assume that they were bolted down. If they have bolts in them, they should have been bolted down. That would be my assumption. Is that just one of them? So was the other one completely off? Do we know? Because when we were here last week, you said that they kind of threw them, which they're heavy.
So they're both zipped up.
They were slid open, it appears, not completely removed, but slid open. In the dark, if you were walking though, you could have stepped on it and you could have moved more. Thankfully, it was daylight when we were out there and we were able to see them and did not accidentally step into one.
You said that was 435.5, is that what it was?
435 C3.
C3A.
C3.
And what was the total cost again for the employees from Public Works?
477 change. That was for the employees overtime as well as the use of the vehicle. Does not include anything that I don't have that out.
What would you estimate the cost would be to film it, just to make sure there's no debris that went in there?
That's a larger interceptor line that goes behind the properties on the easement. So our backer truck is not gonna be able to get back there. We probably end up subcontracting, so. It could be as much as 30,000.
Now, with the recent rain we had the other day, is there any backup there that you know that occurred?
No,
Have you cleaned the wet wells for the lift station yet?
I believe they did the spring cleaning
Before or after this?
before. We can go and clean it again.
Yeah.
And that's where most of the debris is gonna end up, because it's such a large line. And this was basically a flushing.
Yeah.
It probably carried everything to the lift station.
I would ask that it be cleaned again and pictures taken once it's dewatered.
We will do that.
And keep track of what that cost is as well.
Do we need to make a motion on a fine? Today?
That also do not include the cost of Ramsey's legal fees to write the penalty letter. So just putting out that there are additional costs that we will be incurring, the cleaning of the well, if we don't do anything, the attorney's fees to help us move forward with issuing the letter.
Here's the other question I would ask. If once you go to clean the wet well again and you find debris in there, what likelihood is there that any of that got sucked up into one of the, or both of the pumps?
When we clean the wet wells, we also pull all the pumps and check them.
But-
If there's no debris in the colors.
But do you have records of their wear, you know, like the gaps and whatnot?
Yeah, we
So we have two separate issues here. We have the fine and then we have damages, right? I personally think that due to the damage that could have been done, because this isn't just, I mean, it's, none of it's good. It's all terrible, but imagine how many homes would we have been talking about if this would have backed up?
it could have potentially been.
Hundreds. And whose bill would that have been to pay?
Attorneys, lawsuits.
Yes. So in my opinion, we need to be pretty firm on this. And I think that at the least, they need to be paying for the attorney's fees, the staff hours, that's including both of yours. They should be paying for us to video those lines. And then I don't know if we can hold it open if there's any damage in the future that happens because of this. And, you know, treating the water.
Each manhole is $1,000 a piece.
Absolutely.
So that's $2,000 there. Any accrued charges? I would make them,
I mean, I hate to do that, but at the same time, everyone needs to understand what could have happened when you do this. I don't even know the whole thing if I would have taken that off, but I would know better than to take that off. And the fact that, you know, somebody could have died, and I hate to say, but they take care of individuals who can't take care of themselves. So it's very concerning, and I'm not sure if, I wish they were here because I have a lot of questions for them.
So Ramsey, what about holding open something for future repairs once all this other stuff gets televised, if that's the route we go, as well as checked?
Well, I don't think you hold it open indefinitely, but at this point, you're still in the process of sizing things up. You're investigating the concerns, the cause, the damage, and I don't think there's anything unreasonable to doing a follow-up And I think once you're at that point, if we don't think there's any future damage that's measurable, certain, then I think we can proceed to fines, or a penalty. And then if there are damages, yes, that'll be a separate tally. And certainly there are concerns about what could have been, and thankfully that didn't happen.
Absolutely.
So the board will make a decision based on what it feels is appropriate for the fine and penalty within a range that staff will recommend, and then then the damages are what they are.
Okay.
My time at this point has been fairly minimal, just being abreast of what's going on. Putting this letter together probably wasn't more than, we put together what could be considered like a settlement agreement type thing, where it provides what has happened, what the damages are, and the willingness to pay this in order to preclude having to go to court, bring action, you know, to recover damages. And I think that's probably ultimately the way to go. So if you feel a little more and if staff needs to look at it and do a follow up, that's fine.
But Brad, do you recommend that we have this thing televised and to see what is in it and what went through it?
Yeah, I think it would be
Okay.
smart idea.
Well,
Subcontract that
I
out?
do too, because I think that it would be incredibly unfair for us to close this book and then find out that there is damage that has to be repaired on the taxpayer's dime. That's not fair.
Brent, you would be able to go ahead that contract place before.
Yeah, and I think that everything has to be related, you know, in law, we'll call it, it has to be causally related. There has to be causation between the act or omission and what the damages are. And at this point, I feel that that is reasonably related.
Okay.
Village can't go over and above that and put in a whole new system, but within reasonableness.
Okay. And do we have to notify the DNR when something like this happens?
This is now resulted in overflow.
Okay,
So.
so no, okay.
And just bypass it.
Okay. So my question is that then would this be two different motions? The first one would be the fine. And then the second motion would be for the damages part, or how would we do this?
That could all be one and the same, but I'm not sure if you're there yet, because if
Okay.
you're asking staff to do a bit more follow-up, it's probably best to do that bit more follow-up, and then staff comes to you. And at that time too, we can also come to you with what the document would look like, and then it's all done in one time.
So they would go and get an estimate for this, the videoing, the extra staff hours, including, you know, their hours, the chemicals, all line itemed, right?
Correct.
Without doing it first. So
You're gonna have to do the televising.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what damage there's gonna
That's
be in
true.
that line.
how quickly can we do that? And how much?
You have to do that, you can just direct staff to proceed to do that, I don't think we need motion, they're still in the process of sizing this up.
Yeah.
They're giving you a status update tonight, and there's more follow-up, just to have staff proceed with additional follow-up.
If we're contracted, is that required to see this?
Not a sealed bid because of the service.
Do you think that, how quickly do you think that can be done? Yes,
Probably. You contracts.
Okay.
So.
do we make a motion to do that, or do we just say, go do that?
I think you can, well.
It's all part of the investigation.
Yeah, it's all part of the ongoing review.
Okay, so there's no motion,
The motion, but there's.
no motion, right?
Correct.
Okay. I think,
Table it for next time, next,
get him,
Look at the
third.
do a
numbers,
motion.
right?
No,
The table, no?
there's nothing.
Okay, so we're just gonna direct you to go.
Track of everything, so we know where we're at.
So then, when you come back with that, if you guys can line item all the different things, just so that it will help us to understand that, would be great.
We can do that, thank you.
See, I was thinking today we would do the actual fine penalty.
Too, but,
You would do the fine, the penalty, and then any charges that are accrued for damage that would be followed up.
yeah, well,
That's kind of
like, doesn't sound like that's what we do,
Okay,
right? Because we have to wait till it's all done and we do it all as one, the fine, the damages,
okay.
right? Sorry, everyone, it's allergy season.
Thanks,
Remember
Brad.
from my meeting last year. Okay, 8.3, discussion and possible action on purchasing services from Sacchini Asphalt LLC in the amount of $2,200 to remove double yellow lines and paint stop bars at 2 intersections on Rock Lake Road.
I'm gonna skip this one because I asked staff to put this back on the agenda. The reason that I asked staff to put this back on the agenda was because at the last meeting, the board directed us to only purchase the cost of the stop signs and some flags, install those signs and posts. Then he told us to go in and paint it ourselves. So we went and did some further review of the equipment that we actually own. We do not own any of the equipment to do the painting ourselves. So because you didn't authorize the painting and you actually told us in fact to do it ourselves, I didn't feel comfortable authorizing this even though it's within my spend authority in $5,000. So we're bringing it back this evening to ask you to consider allowing us to hire a contractor to paint the lines on Rock Lake Road. That's why it's here, so I'll let them do the rest.
Madam Chairman, what is our schedule on getting that road redone? We put it off this year.
Right, I would assume we'll talk about that during the budget process.
Yes, we will.
But if we're gonna put stop signs up before then, it has to this has to happen.
I'd say they gotta redo all this anyhow.
Yeah, but this,
Wait until we get the road done and paint it, when they paint everything to do it, put the stop signs up then.
There's no guarantee it's gonna be on the list and approved.
correct. I think we need to move forward.
That's, and that's all the cheaper pay.
Okay,
That's the epoxy that lets you 5 days. Cheaper one pay that's epoxy one.
okay.
And cheap.
I will make a motion to approve Sacchini Asphalt in the amount of $2,200 to remove double yellow lines and paint stop bars at 2 intersections on Rock Lake Road.
Second.
I'll second it.
Hopkins got ya. So Bucher and Hopkins, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, 5 to 1 to 0.
We went the traffic to slow down.
All right, we're gonna move on to the clerk's office. Some appointments this year, if I can talk. The first is the Board of Review. We received applications from Bob Trapp, Karen Shootman, Thomas Laughlin, Gerald Kuiper, and Sandy Burgess. Gosh, sorry. All right, so. We have 3 appointments for the term of office 2024 to 2027. And I am, Ramsey, can I just read them off and do them, or do I have to do them one at a time? I don't remember what we did last year. How should we do it?
Read off each.
Do I have to do, so I'm on Board of Review, do I just do my 3? And then as one, and then we,
Correct. You can do it that way.
okay. My recommendations are Bob Trapp, Karen Shootman, and Tom O'Laughlin. And I do not need a board vote actually on this one, sorry. I don't think. Yes, no board vote needed. All right. And then we are going to go to 9.1.2, discussion and possible termination of certain Board of Review. Also, no vote needed by the board, but I am going to remove Bruce Snowpens. His term of office was up in 2025. The reason for that is he has not attended any meetings for the last 2 years. And in his place, I am going to put Gerald Kuiper. Hmm. Okay. Okay, we're gonna move on to the library board. This does need a majority vote. 9.2, library board applications received. Amy Janis, Eleanor Decker, Molly Day, Sandy Burgess, and Stephanie Caputo. We have 9.2.1, discussion and possible approval for one appointment to the library board with a term of office ending 2027. And for that position, I am recommending Eleanor Decker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Okay. Discussion 9.2.2, discussion and possible approval for one appointment to the library board to fill the remainder of the term ending 2025 due to a resignation. Kim Chesser resigned. She was filling in the remainder of Dwayne Keller's term. And this is a term ending in 2025. And in that position, I am going to be putting, hang on, because we just made some changes to this one. Sorry, everyone. I am going to be putting Sandy Burgess in that position. Does anyone have any discussion on that? All right, sorry, I'm recommending Sandy Burgess for that position, sorry. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. And then we have 9.2.3, discussion and possible termination of service for the library board. Trustee Sweeting did ask to be obviously taken off, so I am going to recommend that we terminate the service of Trustee Sweeting, her term of office ending in 2026. You know, Ramsey, I think I did this wrong. Do I need a motion to approve before we vote?
Yes, although I thought I heard.
At the first one, we didn't do it on the last one.
Yeah.
Can we redo Sandy Burgess then?
Not on Eleanor either.
All right, can we start over on library board? Sorry. Okay, so I recommend Eleanor Decker for a term 2024 to 2027.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Hopkins and Gant, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. And for the remaining term of Dwayne Keller, previously occupied by Kim Chesser, term ending 2025, I am recommending Sandy Burgess.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Faber and Hopkins, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. And then 9.2.3, discussion and possible termination of service for the library board. I am recommending to remove trustee Sweeting from her term, which ends in 2026. Need a motion.
Motion to remove.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to remove from trustee Young, seconded by trustee Hopkins. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, I will be filling that position on next week's agenda, I think, right, Ramsey? That's what we talked about. Yeah. So Cassandra, can you put the library board position? And I will be choosing someone from the applications that I have received. Okay. All right, we will go on to 9.3, the Plan Commission. Applications received, David Hart, Jeff Albrecht, Joanne Maggio, Roger Johnson, Sandy Burgess. 9.3.1, discussion and possible approval for 2 appointments to the Plan Commission with a term ending 2027. The first individual that I would like to put in that spot and recommend is Jeff Albrecht for a full-time position on that commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Hopkins. And I'll give it to Billy. And Barheit,
Sure, yes.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. The second appointment to a full-time plan commission with a term ending in 2027. I am recommending David Hart Jr. Need a
Motion
motion.
to approve.
Hopkins, do I have a second?
Second.
Hopkins and Gant, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Discussion and possible approval of 2 appointments to the Plan Commission with a term of office ending 2025. These would be the alternates, the first and second alternate. The first alternate that I am recommending for appointment is Roger Johnson,
Motion to approve. Second.
Hopkins and Young. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? And the second alternate that I am recommending for term, 1-year term is Joanne Maggio.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Faber and Hopkins. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? 9.3.3, discussion of possible terminations of service to the Plan Commission. I do not have any. We'll move on to the Fire Commission. Applications received, Andrew McFarlane, David Hart, Kyle Stockson, Lucas Buzzell, Mike Matz, Paul Rosentreader, Tom Strachan, William Ditzik. 9.4.1, discussion and possible approval of 1 appointment to the Fire Commission with a term of office ending 2029. I am recommending Kyle Stockson.
Motion to approve. Kyle Stockson.
Second.
Young and Gant. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Discussion and possible terminations of service to the Fire Commission. I do not have any. However, I do want to let everyone know that Shirley Benning has resigned. So as effective she's tendered that resignation this afternoon. So we will be putting that on for Monday's meeting as well, and I will be choosing someone from the applications that were received. Also, Parks appointments will be next week as well. 9.5 Treasurer, 9.5.1 discussion and appointment of Betsy Leach as Village Treasurer with a term May 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2025.
I'll move to,
Listen to 2 of them.
Okay, Barheit, and who had the second?
I'll second.
All right, Faber. Just so everyone knows, per our ordinance, the treasurer and the clerk need to be appointed yearly for 1-year terms. So tonight we are doing the treasurer. So we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? You're official, Betsy.
Welcome, Betsy Leach.
Okay. All right, we'll go on to number 10, Administrator's Office, to 10.1, discussion and possible approval of amendments to the paramedic billing services contract.
Honestly, very simple. So Ramsey had recommended a few changes to the paramedic billing contract, and that is what it's reporting today. So it's just changing simple things like where if the term, if you had to terminate or ran prosecute or do something, it would happen in Port Ola, Wisconsin, not in Illinois. There's just really simple minor things in here. Choice of law would be again Wisconsin. The subsection titled, if two client is hereby stricken and replaced with the client being the village administrator fire chief, so it's all of us. And then indemnification paragraph was replaced as well with better language that's more suited to the village. So that's what this is, it's really, it's kind of it's important, but it's not changing the contract, it's not changing the vendor. This is the contract that was 20 years old. With LifeQuest, and we have not started, I just want to give an update on that, we have not started with permanent billing services yet, because we are working on the exit out of the LifeQuest contract, so this was not a huge rush to get this corrected, but it is now corrected, on your approval this evening. And then we do believe we'll be out of the LifeQuest contract by July 1st, and starting with permanent billing services by March 1st.
Motion to approve changes to the paramedic billing service contract.
Second that motion.
Okay, Hopkins and Young. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Number 11, closed session, 11.1, closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 1 sub G. For purposes of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or may be involved, specifically concerning enforcement proceedings involving property at 11220 260th Avenue. Tax ID number 704-120-273-0430.
So moved. Second.
Hopkins and Gant. All righty, we will go in the back room. Aaron,
Okay.
you abstain? Okay. All right, anyone opposed? All right.
Cause I know in Twin Lakes, they round 150 of them guys. Yeah, just go by places, where the hell else, like, over the others.
It's all.
I, holy.
A gallon pail every time I'm gonna pick it up.
You two are done yapping.
Unbelievable.
I like this.
Okay, we had a 11.2 reconvene into open session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 2 for possible additional discussion and or action concerning any matter discussed in closed session and or any unfinished item remaining on the agenda. We had a motion by trustee Hopkins and a second by trustee Faber with a unanimous vote to come into reconvene into open session. And we have nothing to report. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Bucher, and I'm gonna give it to Gant. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.